Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Movie Talk. Today, we are actually going to be reviewing a very special movie today. It's now coming up on the 50th anniversary of the famous blockbuster film, Jaws. Today, we have a very special co-host, my good friend, Lily. How are you doing today, Lily?
I'm so good. How are you, Connor?
I'm doing fantastic. We're reviewing one of my favorite movies of all time, and the fact that it's coming up on its 50th is really shocking for me, because I remember watching this as a wee little lad, and, still being traumatized by it then.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, what's your connection to the film? Like, is it one of your favorite films?
It is 100% one of my favorite films. Like, it's definitely high up on my list. I didn't watch it until I was an adult, though. I think I saw it last year for the first time, and then watched it again this morning to prep. But it's 100% a favorite. Like, I mean, I feel like it has to be. I don't know anyone who is like, I don't like Jaws.
With all that said, let's take a look at that trailer.
It's a beautiful day. The beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time.
Amity is a summer town. I don't think you appreciate the gut reaction people have to these things. You yell barracuda, you're racist, huh? You yell shark, we've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
What do you like about this movie the most?
Okay, I think my favorite thing about Jaws is the, like line down the middle where it's, like, them on the boat and, like, the politics of the beginning. Like, I think it's so sick that it's, like, two different films almost. Like, you're watching almost two completely different genres.
I agree. Kind of go off of that is that it's not actually too out of the realm, too, because the place takes place in Martha's Vineyard, and their biggest time of the year is usually on the 4th of July, so it kind of adds that layer of, like, that realistic tension, because obviously, if you ever been to Martha's Vineyard off-season, it's a pretty quiet town, so they kind of depend on the revenue, all that money and all that stuff, so it kind of makes sense that the mayor wants to keep it open.
The whole thing is just, like, very frustrating. Like, the beginning of it is just so, like, shut the beach, you know, like, I don't know.
So I totally get what you're saying with that, because, you don't, even though the mayor is a tad bit I wouldn't say even cartoonish, because he's supposed to be that, I guess you can kind of call it that cartoonish B-movie mayor, but in a sense it's kind of, you believe it, because again, he's a mayor of a small town, he's trying to be, essentially like a showman and all that stuff, and I forget the man who played the mayor, but he did a fantastic job portraying that. Do you have any other positives with this movie?
I mean, just the cinematography, the coloring, like, it's so pretty. The whole thing it's a shark movie, but it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. There's one thing, every time you mention that cinematography, I don't know why, but I think of this one angle from the movie where it's, like, towards the beginning of it, I believe it was right before, I think it was Alex Kinner, the little kid that gets killed by the shark at the beginning. There's a shot where Brody is talking to the mayor, and then you see him kind of glance over to keep an eye on the water.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I forget what that specific angle is called.
Yes.
That's whatever they did, but it's like you can see both of them are in focus, but one's further away while the other one is more in focus. I feel like a lot of movies, even nowadays, don't really use those techniques and all that stuff. So you watch the movie and it just feels 50 years later, it still stands out among the rest.
Yeah.
And it killed the shark genre for a while too, even for itself.
Yeah.
Kind of lead into a few of my positives, performances all around, because you look at the lead actor, Roy Schneider, who plays Sheriff Brody, like I mentioned before. he's a police officer that pretty much that worked in the city, I believe, before he got transferred over into the to Martha's Vineyard, and I think they established too that he does not like the water at all. I don't recall if they actually mentioned if he had like an accident or he just has I think it was hydrophobia or some variant of fear of the sea and all that stuff. But yeah, he plays such like this like overwhelmed officer trying to protect the people, but also dealing with the mayor being like, it was like, oh, keep it on the down low. We don't need to hear about no sharks and all. And he's also, and of course, when my favorite little bit of acting he's ever done is the infamous scene where he's like shoveling like chump into the water on the boat towards the end. And then he's like, why don't you try shoveling some of this stuff in here? And the shark comes up and he just has that pure look of fear in his face. And then he starts walking back. And fun fact, he turns to Quinn and he says, we're gonna need need a bigger boat. That was all improvised, by the way. He was supposed to just look at him. He was supposed to look at him in complete fear, but then he was just like, hey, let me try using this line. And now we've seen that line parodied God knows how many times. It's honestly weird when you don't hear it. Then we have, Robert Shaw, who plays Quinn, who, while he plays, again, a lot of these characters, they end up playing the titular characters you see in most B movies, the cop or like the sheriff or soldier kind of figure, which is in Roy Schneider. And then we have, I want to say Richard Gere, completely different actor, by the way. We have Richard Dreyfuss, who plays the scientist figure, who is, the shark, expert and all that stuff. And then we have Robert Shaw, who plays the shark hunter, who wants essentially the Captain Ahab of this story. Which we'll get to that. We'll get to that point in just a little bit. But they all play their roles very well, but in a way that they're memorable and doesn't come off stereotypical, like in these B movies where they just play, these respective roles and all that stuff. So
yeah. No, I think Brody is like, it's crazy how genuinely afraid he manages to be for so much of it. Like, considering he's a cop. Like, I was watching it with my brother. My brother kept being like, shouldn't he, like, not be that scared of a dead body? Like, isn't this... But he's, like, I don't know. He's such a genuine character. And even the whole part in the beginning where he's talking about how he, like, transferred from New York and he's saying, like, oh, like, you can't make a difference in New York. Like, there's so much violence there. There's so much murder. Like, I personally could not do anything. But here, like, one guy makes a difference. It just, like, sums his character up for the rest of it. Like, you're just like, okay, this guy, like, genuinely cares about people.
Again, he plays the titular reluctant. In my mind, maybe that wasn't what they were going for, but he kind of, I wouldn't say reluctant hero. He's just a guy who's just trying to do the right thing. One actor I wanted to kind of touch upon, I know I briefly touched on, was the actor Robert Shaw, who plays Captain Quinn. And that actor, he plays the character kind of like in the stereotypical Captain Ahab-esque role, but then you get that one scene and they had a few drinks in them, they're all kind of a little buzzed or drunk and all that stuff, and he just drops one of the coldest stories in cinema when he talks about the whole U.S. Indianapolis sinking, which for those who don't know, that was a ship that was kind of like off the record. So when it went down, nobody knew about it for like, I think it was like a week or something like that. So a lot of so those guys were just pretty much forced to be stuck in the water. And then he talks about, he always says the line, as I always quote with my cousins, my dad, and my uncles and all that stuff. We always say like, 100 men went in the water and all that stuff. And he's just description of how he describes sharks, that the eyes are like a doll's eyes, nothing in them, and all that stuff. So it was very eerie. I absolutely love the behind the scenes stuff of how Robert Shaw, how he was a little too drunk during the first day. Then he pleaded with Spielberg if he could do it again. Yeah, I absolutely love that scene. So it's one of my top favorite scenes of all time. So
yeah. No, that's such a good one. Or even when he first enters and they're like at the meeting and he just like scrapes his nails on the chalkboard. It's just like, of course.
Oh yeah, that's. I wonder, like, after he left, do you think he walked out the thing as he's walking away from everyone? He's just like, ladies and gentlemen. He walked out. He's like, Ah. Why did I do that?
Yeah, went through a lot of effort to make a point.
I was gonna say you could have just like I don't tap like get like a mug and just tap it right there. But no, he had to make a point and all that stuff. And he's just like, why did I do that?
It doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi.
I guess not. I was gonna say he really wanted to make a point. He might as well just fire a gun off in there.
Yeah, that would have worked.
But granted, I think the sheriff probably would have shot him at that point. Yeah. I would say when I was kind of reading more into this movie, I did hear that Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw were kind of at each other's throats a little bit, and which kind of fits the characters because they were kind of at each other's throats quite a bit and towards the latter half when they were isolated on the boat and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought it was just kind of a cool little trivia that those two actually were at each other's throats. That kind of adds to their characters.
The cinematography is brilliant. It's so pretty. The camera's moving so much. It's awesome. But it was shot on film, which I don't think I even realized. No, that's a lie. I saw it on 35, but whatever. I didn't think I knew it was shot on film. And it makes it that much prettier. And the colors are just stunning. Like, it's so, like, quintessential Martha's Vineyard, like Cape Cod, like pastel-y, but then when you're in the water, it's, like, dark, and I don't know. Big fan of the coloring.
So you're a big film person, like, actually when they film stuff on actual film, right?
I just think it's prettier.
They originally were supposed to release this movie in December of the previous year, but they realized that it was falling behind to the point they were kind of losing hopes. They were saying, forget about it. Why don't we just release it in I think Memorial Day weekend, and just see and hope for the best. The best happened for them.
Do you think this would have been a winning winter movie? Like, do you think it would have the success it had if it had been released in the winter?
I personally think I don't know. It's kind of weird because I always associate with the summertime, so I want to say no. But considering how the movie is in general, it kind of it very well could have. But I think it's so quintessential to the summer blockbuster, it's hard to answer that question. My biggest positives is the final act of the movie when it's just Brody, it's Schneider, Dreyfuss, and Shaw all versus the shark. And how, for those who don't know, the shark broke down quite a bit in the movie, so they wanted to show it more, but since, the salt water messed with the machine and all that stuff, they were forced to improvise. And they worked it really well. Granted, we all know what a shark looks like, but I guess with this one, you know how dangerous it is. You know how ruthless it is. So the build up to it was just beautiful. I thought, the way they build, they use the yellow buoys and all that stuff. And then, of course, the final shot where, the ship starts slowly sinking because the shark's, you realize the shark's not a dummy in this one. It learns pretty quickly.
My first negative actually relates to your final act thing. I think that Brody should have been the only one to survive. Sorry, spoiler alert. But I think that everyone else should have died.
You're a very depressing person.
You don't think so? You don't think it would have been more powerful?
I mean, I definitely would have added more. It would have added more suspense to that. I can see your argument on that one.
I just think we're with him from the beginning. Let's see him be totally afraid through the end, And then
when he finally does the whole "smile, you son of a sea dog" thing, that's when he kind of confronts his fear.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see your argument on that one.
Yeah.
You should read the book then. That's they kind of have something similar like that happens.
Interesting. I haven't read the book. I should read the book.
The book is actually kind of depressing, so it's very. I will say this: the book is. This is more of a side note. Is that the book? Nobody is really likable in that book.
Really?
So I can see your argument. It would have been an interesting take if it truly kind of that last survivor feel, that sense of dread. It's kind of, when done correctly, it's kind of the final act of Alien where it's just Ellen Ripley left. You feel a sense of dread.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think there's going to be a sequel or whatever, but it's just, you honestly just don't know what happened. So, yeah. I can see that.
Scary. It's about a shark.
Exactly. Now, I was going to say, granted, to kind of go off that, you could have had their cake and eat it too. You kind of knew what's-his-face, Richard Dreyfuss's character, swam off and hid and stuff like that. I would have liked the mystery if he actually did get away or not. Granted, that could have been cool, but again, we're critiquing a movie that's over 50 years old and more famous than we are, so,
Yeah. Spielberg, take notes.
Come on, Spielberg, that gotta be your final movie. Full circle, let's go, buddy. But overall, I gotta say, Jaws is one of my favorite movies. It's one of the few films I'm nostalgic for, mostly because my dad and my uncle, my aunt, they always tell stories of when they saw this movie in theaters. My grandma was with them, and the movie came out, I believe, 74 or 75? I think it was 74. Wait, no, it's 50th anniversary, so it was 75. I know math, folks. The movie came out in 75, and my dad went to go see it with his siblings and his mom, and the infamous scene where the dude's head, like when what's-his-face, Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Schneider are looking at a boat at night, and Richard Dreyfuss decides to go under the water to investigate like a destroyed boat, and you see that head kind of float in, and it kind of gives a jump scare. My dad told me the story of when that scene happened. My grandma, with a big tub of popcorn, got so scared she flew the popcorn up and just shotgun blast the 3 rows behind them. Well, that'll do us all for today. If you haven't seen Jaws, what are you doing here? Go to your nearest streaming service or go pick up a copy of it on whatever website you buy your DVDs from and give it a watch. 50th anniversary is officially here, and some theaters are even releasing it very soon, and I recommend seeing it on the biggest screen you can. It's a classic.
Go check it out. It's a fantastic movie. Super fun watch. That's all for today.
Thank you all for stopping by, and have a great summer.